Hello everyone, I'm your host Thomas28, and welcome to Cryogenic Simulation. I hope you're all ready to make some worms. Now, jumping right into the quest book, that's the simulation goal, don't worry about it. We're going to ascend some worms, and the first thing we need to do is build a worm burrow from very expensive dark steel blocks. Honestly, not too expensive, as dark steel is pretty easily produced now from the silicon, now that we have enough. The only things that's a little annoying, consecrated soil, annoying but very cheap, but everything else is all stuff we can get. And if you're wondering on an easier way to make triple compressed cobblestone and you haven't found it by now, you can actually use the Material Stonework Factory to make the cobblestone and then automatically craft it into the triple and quadruple and all the different versions you want. Anyways, enough about that, let's go ahead and craft our trans-dimensional worm burrow. So we're gonna need our schematic, which is going to be the trans-dimensional worm burrow. And we're gonna place it, let's see, where's a good spot? I think, yeah, next to the liquid is pretty nice. We'll put that right here. Printer on. And place all the blocks. And we're building a nice little home for our trans-dimensional worm, and then we need to actually find one to put them inside. Then after you place all the blocks, looks like I'm missing a couple of these void stone, which is always annoying. What is this? Netherrack. How am I? Oh, it goes in there, that's why. And it looks like the torches are a little bit off, I think. Or, oh no, it goes in there. That's a little thing that's annoying about using the builder. This is my silk touch one, right? Yes. Oh wait, this is ineffable glass. I could just walk through it. Why is this one not placing? Anyways, I also need... Oh, because I didn't grab it all, that's why. There we go. But where's this last piece of netherrack supposed to go? That's odd. And I'm also missing... Oh no, the controller's just facing the wrong way. That's the problem with that one. That's the issue. There was a torch here. So let me break that, put that back in here. And it's almost finished. The last thing you have to do is take your bucket and grab 4 buckets, or no, it's actually 2, 4, 8 buckets of hyper-nutritious worm milk and fill in these little spots right here. Because our worm needs something tasty to snack on while he's resting. And with this final bucket, it should all come together. And it does. Trans-dimensional worm burrow completed. Status missing input item. Now we have to get our worm. Now, the world worms are made from crystal bug larvae, which can be found by slaying crystal bugs in the midnight. Now, crystal bugs should spawn in these crystal spire biomes, and I think, yeah, they're all over the place. We just need to get them with their very tiny hitboxes to get the larva. And we are going to need at least 2 of them, I believe, because... Let me get one more real quick. Stop moving. Thought I heard something. Oh, I did. Scary. Come on, and I'm gonna get this guy. There we go. 2 of them. Because we need to ascend one into the reanimated world worm, and then take that one and ascend him further into the venerated later on. As you can see, that one is gonna be a lot more expensive. So for now, we just need to work on the first reanimated world worm, which will take 40 blocks of electrum, 64 tanned leather, 32 sacrifice remains, more, well, lot more, 1 bones of the damned, 1 amplifier electron tube, 8 ender resonators, 8 guardian diodes, and a little bit more than 500,000 LP in the slate ossuary. Now, first things first, this guy is a bit of a chump, so we need to grab some dragon's nest, and we need to make him worthy of ascension. It's going to cost 500 millibuckets of hyper-nutritious worm milk, 16 dragon's nest, 4 magma cream, and 2 resonating gems. We're just going to throw all of that into this guy. Where is the input hatch on this? I think it's on this side. Fluid input, item output. Where's the item input? How do I put items inside of this? Oh, it's right here. Little funky placement. So 1 goes in, all of that. Then we need to add in our milk in the back. There we go. No, item output, fluid input. And now it should work. Structure found, transdimensional worm burrow, missing input item. Oh, it takes 2 seconds, so I think it's done. Item output. No. Where's my worm? Item input. Oh, it took it out. Is it working? Is it... Did I miss it? Where'd my worm go? Crystal bug larva. Item output. Fluid input. Oh, I see. So the ascension has a 2% chance. It's not that I was just... like... I thought the machine was broken. As you can see here, I moved it into one chunk. I thought, oh, maybe the issue was I built it in 2 chunks. Maybe that was the issue. No, the issue is it has a 2% chance to get produced. So on average, you need to run this 50 times. Well, the quest book did say you need a lot of hypernutritious worm milk. I just didn't think it was going to be that low of a chance to actually make it. Luckily, all of these are really easy to get. Technically, hypernutritious worm milk isn't easy, but it is fully automated. It just takes some time. But wow, that's a little annoying. Well, let's give this another shot. Throw in a stack of all that. Now I want to see, will this act... Okay, so it does work. So let's see if we can get some worms out of this. By offering a full stack of each item. Missing input. Did it already eat all of it? No. Oh, it ate all of the dragon's nest. Well, it's a good thing that's fully automated. So now you know, if you're doing this yourself and playing the pack, make sure you get a lot of this before you try it, because it is not a cheap recipe. Luckily, magma cream, really easy. Resonating gems, once I figured out you can actually hook up a thing to the altar to not make it use up all of the liquid starlight, these are actually a lot easier to produce. And at least the crystal bug larvas are a really, like, almost guaranteed chance from slaying the crystal bugs. You just gotta slay at least 50 of them, because you're gonna have to run this at least 50 times. And it looks like we need more magma cream. Or we don't, because we got lucky. Crystal bug larva, done. Worthy of ascension. So now that we have him, we just need to gather the rest of the materials in order to reanimate it and turn it into the reanimated world worm. Now the only things we don't have yet are these guardian diodes, the ender resonators, and half a stack of sacrifice remains, which are made from trading... Oh wait, we have to do 2 things. So we have to trade in sacrificial nightstag to get the sacrifice remains, and then we have to infuse them with starlight to get the anointed version, and this is made from gold horse armor and soul vials from a night stag in a soul binder. Well, after like 15 minutes, I managed to figure out how to fully automate the gold horse armor into... Wait, where'd my item go? Huh? Export bus. Oh, I didn't filter it. There we go. Sacrificial nightstag. Now if I turn this mob duplicator back on, it spawns a nightstag. The nightstag gets its soul trapped in a vial. The vial combines with the gold horse armor to make the sacrificial nightstag, and then we just have to throw this into the elven portal. And I just have to filter this to be correct, because right now it's just extracting it all the time, which I don't want it. I need to filter out the sacrificial nightstag to go not into the user, but to go elsewhere. Anyways though, at least it does work, so I could just grab them out of the user. I could change that later. So now we can grab our nightstags, throw them in here to make the sacrifice remains. Then we just have to take this. Wait, why is this not anointed? Sacrificial to that. Oh, and then we have to infuse it with starlight. Yes. And why isn't this working? Oh, it is working. All the mana is just in here, and there's no spark right here, so it's not pooling around everywhere else. Nice. Oh, but they're full of mana, so it doesn't really matter too much. Let me throw that in there. Throw this one in here. And let's see, so now we just need to do this another 30 times. And this has still got to be my least favorite part. I can't figure out how to pump items into this, because do I have a conduit on me? Like, you can't seem to put conduits on this to like pump items in. I did solve the issue of this though. Where's my wand? Wand is linking tool, wand of the forest. Where's my actual wand? The wand for this thing. There it is. Resonating wand. in that you can use this containment chalice, so it pulls starlight from that instead of stealing it from all of these pools here, so it keeps running. And it looks really cool too. As you can see there, it holds a lot of liquid starlight, 24 buckets worth, so it should have enough to do all of this crafting. Yeah, because see, the right-clicking I can do with a mechanical user. I'm so dumb. Okay, I figured it out. I'm a genius. I was like, as soon I was talking, and as I was saying it, I slowly solved the problem. Because I was like, oh, I can't pipe items in because you have to right-click it, but there's no way to right-click it automatically. But wait a minute, the mechanical users can right-click it automatically. So now you just put the item in here, activate item with block, right-click, put the wand in here, use item on block, right-click, and it works. That means I can even automate this with AE, because I can have an item interface push into the user, and then just have the accumulator pick up any of the items, because the items come in here, attached to the infuser, but then they pop up just in the world. Now this is also making a ton of flares, which I find funny, because they don't do anything, but they're pretty nice to look at. So there we go, half a stack of sacrifice remains. So what else did I need? 40 blocks of electrum. That's going to take a while to autocraft, but I have the resources for that. 6410 leather will take a while to autocraft, but we have the resources for that. Ender resonator and guardian diodes, done. Bones of the damned will take a little bit of time, but we can craft it. It's pretty easy. And then amplifier, this thing is the easiest out of all the things. I guess oh, it's like Frankenstein. We're going to shock him to bring him back to life. And if you forget, the Ender resonator and the diodes are just crafted in a slice and splice. I didn't bother showing it because that's like really standard Ender IO stuff. There's nothing new there. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention. So to get the essence to actually make the nightstack spawn, take a magma crucible, and then you can filter it for, where is it, right here? You can filter it for any of the matter, because all the matter can be melted into essence. Have the essence get pumped into a fluid dictionary converter that lets you change it from essence buckets into liquid XP. Liquid XP can be pumped into the obelisk, which will feed the soulbinder, and then the regular essence will go into the mob duplicator to spawn the mob. So it's pretty easy. So once you have, your simulation chambers up and running, it should be pretty easy to get as much XP as you want. So now if we come over here and dump all this inside, it should craft. Yep, there it goes. And it should say on this side, okay, it's not a fast craft, but it doesn't cost any energy, just LP, which is nice. And it's funny, now that that's set up, since it is a pretty small blueprint, it's just going to keep making those. And I don't even know if we need these for anything else. Sacrifice remains. Okay, we do need a stack of it later on for that, but that's about it. And there we go. One reanimated world worm. It's very ugly in my hand. But now, we should be able to take this guy and put him into the item input hatch. Oh, we can remove this stuff. Put him in here. If we take a look, it's running. If we look at the item output hatch, it's filling with ores. Now, I probably should take him out because I think it'll just keep running forever. Not enough inventory space. Okay, it does shut itself off. So you can see in just a couple seconds, we have generated 1, 2, 3, what is that? 4, 8, 10 stacks of iron, 4 stacks of osmium, 2.5 stacks of coal, 2.5 stacks of lead, 2 stacks of tin, 2 stacks of redstone, a stack and a half of gold, a stack and a half of copper, and a stack and a half of silver ore. This has completely outclassed our builder's quarry in the first simulation. So what do we do from here? Mass smelting is the key. So it looks like we're going to need tons and tons of materials, which means our old method of smelting isn't going to be the best, but it outlines the specific way you should be doing to generate a lot more rich slag so you can make the, whatchamacallit, milk. So we're going to take the redstone ore, pulverize it to get cinnabar, then use the cinnabar to get the ore. Because if we take a look here, this is not technically, this is how I was doing it prior to the original buff. So if we come to the pulverizer, when you pulverize redstone, 1, you get 50% more redstone, 2, you get a 25% chance to get cinnabar. Then cinnabar, when used in the induction smelter with stuff like gold, gets you a 75% chance. And then you can combine this with some of the augments, like metallurgical recovery, which gives a small chance to not consume the flux, increases the amount of, what's the word? I was trying to combine slag and yield into one word and say sleeled, but that's not a thing. So that's essentially what we're gonna do. And then you could technically go even higher if you use like the pyro connector with blazing pyrethium to get even more ore out of your gold ore. I mean, more ingots out of your gold ore, but that doesn't increase the amount of slag you get. But at this point, this blazing pyrethium is really cheap because I'm producing all three of these at massive rates now. So I might as well set that up. So if this is our output, we're gonna wanna have like a pulverizer here, and then probably a, whatchamacallit? Yeah, and then probably have an induction smelter for each ore. Now, as you can see, when you use cinnabar on something like iron, you don't generate any rich slag, you actually just generate other ores, other ingots, which is nice, but we need a lot of rich slag. Okay, so you didn't learn this from me, but using storage drawers, you can do some very illegal things. When you think about it, a drawer controller and the drawers is essentially just one giant chest, which means using illegal techniques, you can connect way more drawers in ways you might not have thought about, and it does work. So, as I was building this out, we have accumulated a massive amount of resources, over 30,000 iron, and that's the highest percent chance one at 70%, followed by redstone at 19,000, and we're producing so much ore that we literally can't process it fast enough. Now, a drawer controller can connect to other drawers that are connected via trim or drawers in a 25 block range. At least I think it's 25 by default. Anyways, using that technology and oak trims, I can connect all of these pulverizers to the storage network, have them output all these cinnabar to other drawers which are connected to the induction smelter, and it just works. And the reason it just works is because controller slaves connect to the controller as an output. They're basically reading, everything is basically reading into the same chest. And the only way this would stop working, and if it stops working, it's actually catastrophic, like it breaks horribly, it's like a horrible car crash, is if we somehow run out of resources, which is never going to happen. So essentially, once you put redstone ore into the pulverizer, the pulverizer wants to, what's the word I'm looking for? It's set to auto input from the top. On the top of this pulverizer is a controller slave linked to the controller. So every tick it wants to pull more redstone from the inventory above it. So as long as the pulverizer has more redstone to pull, it will never stop pulling redstone ore and crushing it into redstone and cinnabar. Then this induction smelter is doing the same thing, but with cinnabar and gold ore. As long as the inventory above it, which is our controller network, has cinnabar and has gold ore, it will keep pulling it every single tick until it runs out. That's the only time it'll break. And since the induction smelter can lock the slot to the metallurgical flux, it theoretically will never stop working. Now, I do need to figure out a better way to hold this stuff, and we also need to add more smelters, because even with this guy, and I do have 2 metallurgical recovery augments in here to make the cinnabar last a little bit longer. At the current speed, we are generating quite a good amount of rich slag, which should let us keep up production for a pretty long time. But honestly, with how much ores we're actually producing, I don't even think we need to keep it up 24/7. Like, once it runs out of liquid, which should be in a very long time, we'll have accumulated enough rich slag to do pretty much whatever we want. Now, of course, we have a bunch of more ores that we need to process, like coal just needs to be pulverized, and then all of the other ores. But all that's going to take is adding some more induction smelters, and it's like, technically, I don't even need to double this stuff, because we have so much that doubling it or tripling it would just be ludicrous. I might do it anyway for this one. Like, what is this? Aluminum. Aluminum is really small, so I might as well do it with that one, because we're going to need a lot of aluminum, I'm guessing. Induction smelter with cinnabar. We'll also make iron. Yeah, I think what I'll just do is set these up with the regular sand processing, because that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 basic ores running concurrently with a 5% chance. Yeah, so that's just going to generate a lot more rich slag for us, which really doesn't matter too much. Now you can see I did throw in void upgrades just so like if we fill up on iron, it won't stop running, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think we're good on ores for a pretty long time now. And there you go. You can do some pretty crazy witchcraft using storage drawers, so I hope you learned something. So now, all of our ores are getting processed. Now I did throw in a ton of these metallurgical recovery things, just so we don't actually use up a lot of the rich slag. So you can see, we're actually producing a positive amount of rich slag. So over time, this number is just going to keep growing. Of course, the only bottleneck is, why is this? Oh, rich slag got in here. That's not good. Yeah, we're actually not producing enough cinnabar at this point. But what was making rich slag? This is making rich slag, that one. I guess I just need to take out these and add more metallurgical recovery? Yeah, because this one's not connected like the others. Can't really fix that. And it doesn't matter too much though, because we already netted like 6,500 gold after like, it's been like 15 minutes, so that's pretty good. And now we're actually running low on it. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter too much though, because I've already accumulated literally thousands of ores. So, I mean, I guess we can stop it for now. Like that's pretty efficient, that's pretty good. Anyways, now that we're done doing illegal things, we gotta come back to our Enderium infusion basin and make some superheated frames, because it looks like we're crafting a compressor. And where is the superheated frame in this? I don't see it. Compressor. Yada yada. Oh, we need the compressor to make singularities, and then those singularities are used to make these superheated frames. Where is the superheated frame though? It did, oh, it's the name of the chapter, but it's not actually in the chapter itself. So a superheated frame is made in the Enderium infusion basin with 10 buckets of molten superheated miasma. Okay, this is going to take a lot of stuff. Iridium and platinum we do have a lot of from when we called down the meteor, so we're good there. Enderium ingots, we're great there. Resonating gems, solid. Rune of mana, solid. So we just need iron singularity, redstone singularity, osmium singularity. Industrial machine chassis, we're good there. And 10 buckets of that. And how do you make this? Take 10 millibuckets of miasma and throw it into the refinery, where you get 50% more in the form of superheated miasma. Okay, so we are reversing entropy because we're taking 10 millibuckets of miasma and turning it into 15 millibuckets of superheated miasma and 10 millibuckets of lava. Nice. Now we do need 1901 degrees Celsius in the refinery to run this, but then we should be good. My only issue is miasma is pretty hard to come by, as it only spawns in like those big volcanoes. I'm not actually sure if there's another way to get miasma. So hopefully we don't need too much. And remember when I said you could run a refinery just off of a 10-speed liquid compressor? Well, that's what it looks like. And it's the funniest thing ever. Is this efficient? No. As you can see, it's burning through LPG extremely fast. Our efficiency is 0, but it does technically work. We're making lava and superheated plasma. Of course, all I have to do is make it look like this, which is fine. It was an issue though. I came over here and it turns out my oil ran out again, so I'm gonna have to fix that. Luckily we did have a lot of LPG stored, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just annoying. But yeah, if you're lazy, you can literally run a refinery off of a advanced liquid compressor with 10 speed upgrades. Just put it right next to the refinery. It will get hot enough to function. Is this good? Absolutely not. Does it work? Absolutely. Next, the compressor automation is extremely simple. You just come to your AE network, go to your terminal, and you just tell it, okay, I want an iron singularity, and we need this, so actually set this to processing pattern. We want an osmium singularity, and that doesn't work. Why doesn't, oh, I know why that doesn't work, because it's telling it to make this, AE is only seeing 1 osmium to that, but you need 512. So actually, I think we need the advanced one, because this lets me do... Okay, I figured out how to do it. You add 1, then you can tell it to double it. You're going to double it up to 512, Then you tell it makes one osmium singularity. And it should already know how to make an osmium block, as it does. So now you just take your pattern and you throw it in here. And now if you tell it to request one singularity, craft, not enough osmium. Okay, that is quite a lot of osmium. Wait, are we making osmium over here? Or is that from the meteor? Wait a minute. Hold your horses. We do get it from here. Which one is osmium? This one. Okay, so we're just gonna have to wait. So I was gonna say fix it. It's not really fixed. I just changed it to run off of sand, since that's technically, it's cheaper on the system. Why are we not outputting the rich slag? Oh, because there's no chest here for rich slag. That's why. Okay, so we're actually gonna have way more rich slag than I thought. Anyways, though, we need a lot more osmium, though. Now, let's see. Now we should be able to request at least the iron and redstone, because we have enough of that. Yep, 4,608 iron ingots to make one singularity. I think that just ate like 40% of our entire stock. Now, let's see if we come out over here. It says it's idle. Aren't you supposed to be doing something? Unless it's supposed to be on the top? I'm not actually sure. I didn't get the notification. Singularity. Yeah. Oh, okay, now it works. Huh. Not sure what the issue... Oh, you know what? I think what happened was, since I broke it while it was crafting, that's probably why it didn't work. So now we can go ahead and just make one redstone singularity. And this is probably a good time. Since I have to craft so many blocks, it might be useful to set up a ton of crafting co-processors. I think that's what they're called at AE2. Yeah, crafting co-processing unit. So we can craft more blocks at the same time. Might be useful. See, that's what it's supposed to look like. Now, why is it stuck at half? Because it should have received all of them at the same time. That would be why. I set it up wrong. So it needs 1024 to make the redstone singularity. The blocks are 512. Well, the metal blocks. Okay, then once your singularities are crafted, you can come back to this guy, item output. I think it's on the other side. Yep, there we go, item input. Throw in all of this, and where's the fluid input? Energy input, fluid input. Can I just right click? Yes. Why aren't you working? Missing input item. 9 plus that. What is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What am I missing? Oh, this machine chassis. There we go. So now it should work. There we go. Processing. And we can make one superheated frame. A sturdy steel-based casing used for the foundation of machinery. And with that, we can build the mechanism machines. We also need 4 of these to make a dense neutron collider, and what did we need this for? I thought it was needed for something in particular. Ah, here we go. So we need one superheated frame in order to make the solar neutron activator, because we need to do some mechanism. And if you know me, you know just how much I love mechanism. It's my favorite part. Alright, so next on the list, the molten salt reactor, a state-of-the-art power generation system that will cover all of your power needs. Which is pretty good, because now that I added all of those induction furnaces, the thermoelectric generator is actually starting to struggle a little bit. Luckily, the thermal machines do throttle themselves down, so they don't just all like shut off. But we are starting to reach the limits of how much a single thermoelectric generator can do. So let's go ahead and add this guy right here, cryogenic simulation, molten salt reactor, and this is as good a spot as any. I did expand, one of my blocks. I did expand it out a little bit to the right, so we could fit like the mechanism stuff, but as long as we have a clear line to the thing, it should work just fine. Printer on, place all the blocks. And I gotta say, at least all of the, like, these late stage multi-blocks are pretty cheap. See, is that everything? We can just test it by coming to this guy. Missing structure. Something has to be in the tanks. Does it there? Yada yada. Since you need a breeder reactor, you should build at least 2. Pull up schematica to see the needs. Once you have it up and running, store up plutonium fuel. You can run a reactor with just plutonium and molten salt. Wait, was there something I needed over here? No, I don't see the fluids. So why isn't this working? Ah, there we go. Only functions when the middle tank is filled with molten uranium. All the other tanks are filled with molten salt. Good to know. So let me tear down this glass here. Okay, so middle tank has to have the, whatchamacallit, what did it say? Molten uranium, and the rest has to be molten salt. Molten salt? Should be pretty easy. Yeah, we could just melt the salt blocks that are in the quarry simulation dimension. That's really easy, and the molten uranium is the same thing. So we just gotta fill these. Now if we finish repairing the glass casing, it's done. Molten salt reactor. Finished. Now how do we get the fuel? Deuterium is easy. All you need is an electrolytic separator that splits heavy water into deuterium and oxygen. Heavy water can be extracted from a body of water with a pump. The pump will require a filter upgrade. Okay, that's not too difficult. And then the electrolytic separator, I'm sure, is going to take one of our electrolytic separator. Yeah, it will take a superheated frame. So things are starting to get very expensive. But at least we do have access to really, massive ore generation. So it's not too bad. Alright, so heavy water is pretty easy. Get your electric pump, throw in a filter upgrade to separate heavy water from regular water, add your other upgrades to make it go faster, and now we're generating about 1/10 of a bucket of heavy water every, 2 seconds, which is not bad. Now the expensive part. We need another singularity to make 1 stack of thermal evaporation blocks and a ton of dark steel. At least dark steel is not that hard to make, as it's just electrical steel with voidstone, and if you didn't realize at this point how to get voidstone, you can make purple blocks from chorus fruit, and chorus fruit is made from extraterrestrial matter and apples, so it's pretty simple. And then this guy, he does need a superheating element, which means I need even more iron, redstone, and osmium. This worm is going to be working overtime. My mind is fried. Okay, after we gather some salt, we should be good to turn everything on, and I'll walk you through the entire setup, because my god, I thought it was gonna be a lot to build, but man, it was a lot to build. And it took, technically hours, but it's like, It didn't take hours because it was difficult. It was hours because of how many singularities is needed to craft the heat blocks, the heat treated, I already forgot the name of that they're called. The heat blocks that need the singularities. But now it's all done. Now we just have to flip it on, add some AE connections to make it fully autonomous, and we're good to go. We just need a little kickstart. So here is the whole setup over here. And if you're wondering, James, why do you have 2 of them? Because you need 2. I built the whole thing and I was like, wait, so how do I make the fuel? Oh, I need a second one to feed the fuel into the first one to actually make it run. Anyways, let me walk you through how it works. So, electric pump collects heavy water. Heavy water is separated into deuterium and oxygen. Vent the oxygen, you don't need it. Then you have my max size thermal evaporation controller, which is a height of 12, turning water into brine. To make this run at max capacity, take a resistive heater, set it to 1000 RF per tick so it can heat it up so you can produce brine at, this is currently functioning at, I think it's supposed to be reading 200 millibuckets per tick, which is pretty good. Then you need a second thermal evaporation controller system to take your brine and turn it into liquid lithium. That liquid lithium then has to be spun into gaseous lithium, and then put into the solar neutron activator to turn it into, what is this? What is this? Into tritium. The tritium is then mixed with the deuterium to make DT fuel. The DT fuel then has to be condensated into liquid DT fuel, where right now it's doing nothing, because you have to take liquid DT fuel and combine it with molten salt plutonium in the reactor to make nuclear waste and 125 Fe per tick. Now then, in order to make the molten salt plutonium, we have to combine molten salt and molten uranium in a molten salt reactor to produce the molten salt plutonium fuel. So I need to take salt, melt it in a crucible, take uranium, melt that one in a crucible, and dump it into this guy here. So once those melt, it should turn on, and the item hatches for the fluids are underneath these guys. I just pumped it in together. And then it should work. It's just going to take a little while to melt it because it's a full block of uranium. It can absorb quite a lot of heat before it melts. But then we should be able to finally upgrade all of our energy conduits to the Ender energy conduits, because these are the highest tier 1 conduits that I haven't been using, because as you can see, they have a max output of 125. Our thermoelectric generator could only break 10,000. So that's going to be, you know, a difference of about 11,000, which is pretty nice. So now we wait for this guy to melt the uranium, wait for this guy to melt the salt, which is about to happen right now. Yep, salt is melted. Oh, and then excess brine is being stored in this black hole tank. As you can see, we already have 1.5 million of it. And we have excess brine getting turned into gaseous brine. Gaseous brine is then being crystallized into salt. Salt is then being packaged into salt blocks, and then I'm going to hook this up to feed into this, so we have infinite salt generation, and then once we have the venerated world Wyrm, we'll have infinite uranium to power the crucible, to make our fuel, to combine with the DT fuel, to make infinite power. So now it's working. The molten salt reactor has combined the molten salt and molten uranium, and is now producing molten salt plutonium fuel. What kind of sucks though, molten salt plutonium fuel, if you look, oh, it's actually not too bad. It's an 8-to-1 ratio. I was thinking of the other thing. Nuclear waste is a 30% chance. Now then, if we do have excess molten salt plutonium, we can actually combine it with molten salt to just destroy it and produce energy, which is pretty cool. But now that we have molten salt plutonium fuel, we need to connect this to this one up here, and then connect our liquid DT fuel and really turn on the power generation. And now finally, we are producing nuclear waste. So how much of this do we actually need? Nuclear waste, we need 2 buckets of nuclear waste, 1 reanimated world Wyrm, 1 stack of ET matter, 64 dark steel blocks, 8 golden singularities, 12 redstone singularities, and 16 iron singularities, along with 4 weather crystals, half a stack of guardian diodes, and half a stack of ender resonators in order to make the venerated world Wyrm, which can mine aquamarine, diamond, emerald, charged Syrtis quartz, nickel, ardite, cobalt, uranium, platinum, iridium, obsidian, and starless void ore, which is found where light no longer reaches. They only glow in a starless sea deep inside the gazing void. You know, I really gotta say, this is probably my least favorite part of Mechanism, which is why I'm not a fan of it, you know? I don't like having to wait around to generate nuclear waste. At least, this is somewhat faster. But it's funny, since I'm cutting the video, you don't know really how much time was in between takes. And I gotta tell you, we just crossed the 2 bucket threshold, so now we can make the venerated world Wyrm. But it's actually been about an hour and a half, because I kept getting ruined by rain. Because if it's raining, we can't make tritium. And if we can't make tritium, we can't make the fuel needed to make nuclear waste. But at least now it's done. And I should have a bucket. I do. Perfect. to get a bucket of nuclear waste, and we're actually going to need 2 buckets of this, right? Yeah, 2 buckets. In the Inderium infusion basin, along with 8 gold singularities, 12 redstone singularities, 16 iron, a bunch of dark steel, and the weather crystals. Now the weather crystals we haven't made yet, but they're actually pretty easy, as it's just pulsating, vibrant, and an ender crystal put together in a crafting grid to make that. The pulsating crystal is just made in the slice and splice with dragonstone, pulsating iron, alien subterranean dust, which is pretty easy. The only kind of difficult part is the ender crystal itself. It takes 1 pristine enderman matter, which is extremely cheap for how much we produce right now, but a little less than a third of a bucket of shimmering crystalline, or crystalline, which is made in the dark steel fluid mixer with 5 buckets of pure calcium, 16 molten emeralds, 2 buckets of molten superheated miasma, and a compacted crystal chunk. And the compacted crystal chunk is made in the industrial assembler with 32 fine bloom crystal dust, 32 fine caltherite, 32 quartz, 20 mana diamond dust, and 16 alien subterranean dust. Now, luckily, we don't actually need too much of this anyway, because its only use I can't talk. The only use for the shimmering crystalline is to make ender crystals, and ender crystals have a finite amount of things we can craft with them. As you could see, there are only 3 crafting pages of items, and most of them we're not going to make. I think we need a weather crystal to make, yeah, we need 4 weather crystals to make this, but then we only need, actually that is quite a lot, isn't it? Because we need 4 weather crystals, and each of these take a ender crystal. So to make 4 of these, we need 20 ender crystals, which is still not too bad. It's expensive, but at this point you should have access to all of this material in bulk quantities. Maybe you're low on quartz dust, like I am, just because I haven't been blowing it up. But once we have the venerated world Wyrm, this kind of stuff is going to be super easy to have. Huh, funny enough, I don't have any... No, I did harvest some bloom crystal, but I haven't been growing it. Didn't realize we were going to need that. Because I thought it was this one over here, the root crystal, but that's not the case. Now I did go ahead and build a second one, because we will need 2 of these to actually get both ores at the same time. But honestly, with how much ore you get from a single, like, couple seconds of operation, you could probably do with just 1 and kind of just swap it back and forth. The drawer spaghetti is starting to get even bigger. I added more compacting drawers because I remembered those existed. So now I don't have to craft the, what is it? The blocks of ingots. They're just automatically crafted. But I do have this bottleneck of sand production, and I try to alleviate it by adding a material stone refractory and an igneous extruder, but we just can't produce enough sand to run the induction smelters at max speed. So I'm going to have to mix and match the augments to make it run a bit smoother. But if we take a look at our AE2 system, you can see, if we go to ingots here, we have over 100,000 redstone, 39,000 iron, 38,000 copper, 33,000 gold, 16,000 tin, 14,000 silver, and it's just going to keep growing, which is pretty good. And it is going to stop at 39k, because I believe that is the maximum a single drawer can hold. So unless I add more drawers, 39,000 is like the max, which is why I started adding these compacted drawers, because they should be able to hold a bit more. Okay, so now after setting up a second dark steel mixer, we have miasma. Wait a minute. This is supposed to be superheated miasma. Well, I'm going to have to empty this because that is not correct. Anyways, pure calcium, and then we're melting down diamonds, which we should be able to see right here. There we go, molten emerald. And then you just add in a compacted crystal chunk, and once I fix that to have molten superheated miasma instead of regular miasma, we're all set to make shimmering crystalline. And why is there a skeleton over here? You were not supposed to be there, buddy. Where's my blade? And now we have shimmering crystalline. Now we just have to take this shimmering crystalline, and the guidebook said it produces around 3, which makes sense because it costs 300. And we're going to need a lot of these. Well, like 24 to start at least, to make our weather crystals. Then we just have to take our 4 weather crystals, combine them with our reanimated world worm in the Enderium infusion basin to make the venerated world worm, along with 2 buckets of nuclear waste, and we're all set. Now, we should be good on the singularities. And this is not a new world worm, I actually just took it out of the first one, just to stop us like overproducing. Because if we look at block, we're only at like 600. We have tons of coal, tons of redstone. Yeah, that like redstone number climbs up so fast. It's insane. So how much are we gonna need? Gold singularity. Well, we can craft the gold. Why can't I see the gold though? Why aren't we producing more gold? Oh, that's why. But I wonder why we can't see this drawer. It should be connected to this, because we have 30,000 gold in here. I wonder why it's not connecting like the rest. It's a bit weird. Anyways, we at least have the resources to do it, so I just gotta figure out how to connect that gold to the A system, and we'll be ready to upgrade our world worm to the venerated version. And now that everything is collected, throw it all into the mixer. Well, not the mixer, what is this? The Enderium infusion basin. Oh, did I get too many? Guess I did. Not enough energy. Uh-oh. That's not good. Are we not producing power? What's the issue? You're full of power. Okay. What about you? You're full of power, which must mean it's an issue with my connection. So you're connected over here. You're connected to this spaghetti, which is connected to this capacitor bank, which is connected to all of this stuff, which is connected over here. So why don't you have power? There we go. I just ran another conduit line all the way over here. I'm not sure why it didn't get any power from this though, because it's connected to the thermoelectric generator. So I don't see why there was 0 power going to the thing. It's a bit weird. But now it's done. 1 venerated I can't speak. 1 venerated world worm, which now has the capabilities of mining starless void ore. But at this point, this video has gone on quite long enough. I'm your spent host, Hamas28, and I'll see you all next time.